I am the Lonely Necron, and welcome to my basement. So I don't really have the money to read the books and play the hobby and put videos on YouTube. So I go to lore channels for my book knowledge, I guess. I'm not really all that interested in the majority of the lore, just mostly Necron stuff. And, as a Necron player, Traz in the Infinite is kind of a guy. He goes out and he collects things, people, cultures, Thunder Warriors. If you could get the Emperor, I'd be all for it. And he just collects them in his own little private museum. And maybe sometimes he takes them throws them at things, and they are there. But I look at that, and then I think about 40k players and how we're all basically Trazen because we all have our own little collections of little armies and cultures and whatnot. We take them places and we throw them at other people who also have their own little pokeballs of things. So yeah, it got me thinking about the pokeball thing, and really, in the end, I have a lot of pokeballs. So I thought if I just mixed them all together and we see what was going to come out the end. And yeah, so we're gonna play the League of Random for the next 4 games. This one and 3 more. And yeah, mixed up a bunch of armies, and we'll see what happens with it. So I pretty much took a little bit of all of my bits of terrain, owned or borrowed, and threw it on the table. The fountain that's been in almost every game. So I mainly tried to stay along the format of 1 HQ, 1 troop, 1 elite, 1 fast attack, and 1 heavy support. Just so I wouldn't get too crazy on the mixtures. So with that being said, our first contestant is this grouping, led by Exalted Sorcerer on a disc. And quick speaking about Psychers, since most Psyker powers are like Legion specific or Demon specific or, specific for not other people, all the Psychers just know Smite. You know Smite? So for the troop choice, we have 10 Nightlord Chaos Space Marines. Aspiring Champion has a chain axe and a plasma pistol, and then they have a heavy bolter and an auto cannon. So elites, we have 5 Carrion Rust Stalkers. Fast attack, we have 5 Seekers of Slanesh. Then heavy support is an Annihilation Barge with a Gauss cannon instead of a Tesla cannon. Alright, there's the first contestant. Alright, so we have here our second grouping, the opponent of the other ones. For HQ, we have a Demon Prince of Slanesh with wings. He knows Smite. The troop choice is 10 Hormigons. They all have Toxin Sacks and Adrenal Lands. Elites, we have 10 Commandos. There's a Rocket Launcher, a Breacher, a Shooter, the Burner. Lots of happy things in there. Fast attack is the Trigon. Heavy support are these Nightlord's Havocs. 2 Las Cannons, a Heavy Bolter, and a Reaper Chain Cannon. Alright, so yeah. There's our second group of contestants for this league. I'm gonna roll deployment, set these guys up, and then we're gonna see just how wacky this gets. Alright, so the Demon Prince's army won the deployment roll, and they chose to go to this far left side. So I got the Demon Prince in the back, the Trigon in front of him. Havoc's in the back with the Hormigons in front. And then the Commandos and their ability to wave deploy Definitely more than 9 inches away, but they're there. So that put the Exalted Sorcerer's team over here on this opposite corner. The Chaos Space Marines in front here with the Annihilation Bards behind. And then the Seekers and the Ruststalkers are very up close to them. On this side, with the Exalted Sorcerer behind them. These guys failed to steal. So these guys get to go first. Alright, so I'm going to start calling them, these guys are Team 1, and those guys are Team 2. Maybe I'll give them real names in the video description. Alright, so movement. Alright, so the Trigon, Demon Prince, and Hormigons have all advanced forward really, really far. The Havocs just moved forward a little bit. And the Commandos have just tried to hide over here behind this obelisk looking thing. Nobody's in a range for Smite, so we'll do the shooting phase. Now the Commandos shot as much as they could into the Seekers and failed to hit anything at all. The Havocs, the two las cannons, actually did manage to kill off one of the Seekers, so yay. And nobody's close enough to a charge on this side, so that'll make it the Team 2's turn. Exalted Sorcerer on a disc, his team's turn. Probably should have thought of better names, but I'm terrible at naming stuff. So, movement. Alright, so these Chaos Space Marines have advanced forward. The Annihilation Bards just moved up by the obelisk. The Exalted Sorcerer on a disc just moved up. These Ruststalkers advanced. And the Seekers moved up here really, really close to the Orcs. Alright, so the Sorcerer is actually in range to do a Smite, which he does get with an 8. It does 1 damage, which kills one of the Commandos. And then we'll do this team's shooting phase. The only one that was available to shoot, as it turns out, was the Annihilation Barge. He did manage to kill off 2 of the Hormigons. Well, I guess that's a lie. This guy has an Inferno pistol. He also killed one of these boys. So yeah, that was fun and short and strange, I guess. So we'll go to the charge phase, which is absolutely going to be these Seekers into these boys. The Seekers made it in, didn't lose anything to Overwatch, mostly because the Orcs didn't hit a single one. The Seekers killed 4 of the Orcs, and then the Commandos tried their best and did nothing, actually. Their attack rolls for the weapons were pretty much the same as their attack rolls for Overwatch. It was pretty terrible. Maybe it's because they're confused, because they're not amongst their Orky brothers. I don't know. That makes it the Demon Prince's turn. Well, the team, you know, and stuff. So their movement. Alright, so the Havocs are going to continue their slow plod forward. The Hormigons moved up really far. The Demon Prince flew up really far. The Trigon just moved up here because, yep, he moved. Commanders are going to stay in combat. So for the Seeker phase, the Demon Prince is going to try and smite the Seekers. If he succeeds, this guy is actually in range to try and deny, so we'll see how this goes. Alright, so the Demon Prince gets it with a 9. Gonna try and deny that. And rolled a 6, which does not deny it. So D3 damage to the Seekers. 2 damage. That kills the Seeker. Alright. That'll take us to the shooting phase for these guys, which is pretty much just going to be the Havocs. Alright, so the 2 last cannons in the Havoc squad managed to do 4 points of damage to the Annihilation Barge. So for the charge phase, these Cormorants are going to charge into the Seekers. And the Trigon is going to attempt a really long charge into these Ruststalkers. We'll see if he makes it or not. So the Hormigons made their charge. The Trigon definitely did not make his charge. The Hormigons completely destroyed the Seekers. Just murdered them completely real badly. They fizzled off back into the ether. That'll make it the Exalted Sorcerer's team's turn. That was a mouthful. Movement. So the Annihilation Barge regained a wound with living metal. Both he and the Exalted Sorcerer are just going to hang out there and not move at all. The Ruststalkers have moved over to try and take on the Trigon. And the Space Marines have moved over a little bit to get better shots and probably charge into the Commandos. Alright, so a psychic thing. The Exalted Sorcerer is going to try and smite these Hormigons, and since they're still in range, if he succeeds, the Demon Prince will try and deny. Alright, so the Exalted Sorcerer gets it on a 6. He tied him, but he didn't equal it. I think it has to get more than, so I think it goes through. So 3 damage, so 3 dead Hormigons. So the shooting phase then. I feel that was a pretty productive shooting phase. The Exalted Sorcerer killed the Hormigon with his Inferno Pistol. Then the Annihilation Barge killed off the rest of the Hormigons with the Twin Tesla Destructor. Failed to wound on the Demon Prince with the Gauss Cannon. These guys killed 3 of the boys. So, good times there. So the charge phase. These Space Marines are going to charge that Commando knob. And the Ruststalkers are going to charge the Trigon. Alright, so that was... I don't know, that was both good and terrible. Everybody made their charges. The knob died. They made it in there. He didn't do any damage in Overwatch. And they just cut him into so many small pieces that there's going to be spores growing there forever. So I totally forgot that the Trigon actually has a gun, but because it's only 12-inch, that's why 12-inch range. That's why I tend to forget about it. So it used it in Overwatch and did a point of damage. The Ruststalkers made it in. They did a couple points of damage to the Trigon, and it just ate them alive. 12 attacks will just murder stuff. It's craziness. Okay, so that makes it the Demon Prince's team's turn. So, movement. So the Demon Prince has gotten really, really close to these Chaos Space Marines. The Trigon has gotten really, really close to this Exalted Sorcerer. And the Havocs are still just plodding along, 5 inches at a time. So the Psychic phase. The Demon Prince is going to try and smite these Chaos Space Marines. Hits it on a 5. Sad Panda, that's only a 4. Alright, I guess he doesn't get to do a Psychic phase. So we'll do a shooting phase for these guys, and now that I remembered he has a gun, I'll even use it. The Exalted Sorcerer made some really, really awesome and vulnerable saves against the Trigon's, what is that, Bioelectric Pulse. The Havocs over there, though, the two las cannons did a whole lot of damage to the Annihilation Barge. And then the Heavy Bolter and Reaper Chain Cannon killed off two of the Space Marines over here. Not great, but they are putting in damage on that Annihilation Barge. So for the charge phase, the Demon Prince is going to charge into these Chaos Space Marines. And the Trigon is going to charge into the Exalted Sorcerer. So this should be super crazy with his 12 attacks. So both of them made their charge. The Demon Prince actually took a point of damage in Overwatch. The Exalted Sorcerer is most definitely dead in so many different ways. The Demon Prince managed to kill off 4 of these Space Marines, and then took a couple points of damage miraculously from the chain swords. That was kind of cool, kind of terrible. That does make it, well, these guys don't have a team leader anymore, so, but it's their turn. So, movement. Looking at it as I am, no one's going to move. They don't have a Psyker anymore, so we don't have to worry about that. So, the shooting phase. The Gauss Cannon from the Annihilation Barge actually wounded the Trigon. Nothing else did. And the Aspiring Champion actually managed to wound the Demon Prince with his Plasma Pistol. So, nobody's charging. These guys are already in a fight. This thing doesn't charge, it shoots. So, he's not going to charge. So yeah, fight phase for these guys. Okay, so they actually managed to wound it with a chain axe. Yeah, that... I filled a lot of rolls today, and failing their saves was kind of terrible, because that sword does 3 damage. So even gaining a health in 9th edition doesn't save them. They're still dead. And it's his team's turn. Movement. So the Demon Prince has flown really close in front of the Annihilation Barge. The Havocs have made it past the house. I mean, they're still in shooting range, but yeah, they just haven't gotten very close. So the Demon Prince is going to try, he's going to try and manifest Smite on this poor, defenseless Annihilation Barge. He gets it with a 9. D3 damage. Only does 1 damage to it, which puts the Annihilation Barge down to 1. So the shooting phase. Okay, so yeah, I remembered that the Trigon had a gun a couple phases ago, so I've been trying to remember to use it. So the Trigon killed the Annihilation Barge with its Bioelectric Pulse. Like of all the times to fail a save. I mean, sure, I guess. I've lost Annihilation Barges before, but never did something like that. I mean, maybe I have. I don't remember all the times I've played against Tyranids. I've played a lot of games. But yeah, that was crazy. That was ridiculous. So yeah, the Demon Prince's team wins this one. If I have another, I'm sure I will at some point, where I have the 4 winners of these games go up against each other. So yeah, these guys won. If you made it to the end of this video, I do appreciate it. This is probably not your average idea for 40k. I don't expect anything to come out of this video. I don't expect a lot of views on it, to be honest with you. But it certainly was a lot of fun to play, and there were definitely some odd moments in here. Like, The Trigon killing off the Annihilation Barrage with its bioelectric pulse. I'm going to continue to say that in a weird way because it just looks funny, even in the codex. Alright, so we got 3 more games. 6 more teams attempting to eventually become the League of Random Champion. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Thank you and have a good day.